Some people still think this is about arguments, but it's not. This is about who sounds like they actually mean what they say versus someone who sounds like they're just trying to say the right thing. And people can tell the difference instantly.
So a lot of people keep asking me, why do you go so hard for Donald Trump? And I simply tell them, because I love Donald Trump like he's like a family member. I call him Uncle Donnie. I love his realness. I love how he's not afraid to say what the fuck is on his mind. I love he has a sense of humor. I love that he puts America first. Why would a American citizen be mad at a slogan saying, "Make America Great Again"? What's so wrong about making America great again? Think about that. I love what he does for this country. I love how he puts America first. He's always about America. See how that sun shining on me right now? That's how the sun shines on Donald Trump. He's kicking ass, and the world is respecting that. They know what's up now. America is back. America is back. And that's because of my Uncle Donald Trump. My Uncle Donnie is putting us on the map and making America great again.
Uncle Donnie. Uncle Donnie. Yeah, that right there, man. This is what throws people off because he didn't ease into it. Nah, 9/11. He didn't even try to, sugarcoat it. He didn't try to make it sound acceptable. Not even a little bit. He said, look, straight up, I'll rock with him. No filter, no hesitation on that. And people don't realize that kind of certainty, let me get my words together. Certainty is what cuts through just about everything else. It really does. Not because it's perfect, but because it's clear. And in a world where everything feels rehearsed, that sounds amazing because it stands out more than anything. Now, I want you to watch what happens when that kind of certainty runs into people who sound confident, right, but don't really have nothing solid behind it.
You guys have an ID?
Yeah. An ID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have a form of identification.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's racist to ask everybody, every American citizen, to present an ID when they go to vote in federal elections?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Why not?
I mean, like, you shouldn't be able to vote if you're not a citizen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Right? And that's not racist, right?
No.
How would it affect minorities? Minorities can't get an ID?
Good, bro. Go talk to someone else.
Okay, all right. Maybe you need to think about what you're about to say, because you're about to tell me that minorities cannot obtain ID, which is super prejudice.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
You want to correct me, then maybe I'm wrong. That's not what you were going to say?
I think you can go talk to somebody else. I'm good here.
Oh, you're a minority. Are you affected when we implement voter ID?
Not at all.
No?
No.
Hey, she's a minority. I mean, you are too. She said that she's not affected by voter ID.
I'm good. I'm done. That's the end of the conversation.
He had to be confronted with his prejudice.
They don't like logic.
So you have an ID, though?
I have an ID.
You think voter ID laws for federal elections are racist, like Chuck Schumer is claiming they are?
I don't think we should have to have something like a passport required since there's a fee associated with it.
Yeah.
I do think that having a passport required, if we take away the fee of a passport, would be a good...
There's no passport required.
But it's the option that we're going towards, and it's the first option listed.
So that's an option that you could have to verify your identity when voting, but that's not the only thing. That's just one of the acceptable forms of requirement. And if it's just listed first, that doesn't mean that's what they're
But
going
I don't
towards.
think that we should have anything that costs money as an option, because then that takes away people that don't have the money.
Okay. Who wouldn't have the money for an ID?
People who are low income, that's a very straightforward issue.
Well, those same people have to have an ID to apply for government benefits.
Okay.
So how is it low-income people can have an ID to obtain benefits, government welfare, government programs and benefits, but you don't think they should have to have one to vote because it costs money?
Oh, I didn't say they shouldn't have to have one to vote.
Okay, so you do believe in voter ID?
I think that if that's the path we're going to go down, take away the fee for it.
Why?
I thought I've already answered that, because I don't think there should be a tax to vote.
There is no tax to vote. You still have to drive to a voting booth and spend money on gas. Wasn't the question about race? Or they have to pay for public transportation to get to the voting polls.
Or they could walk.
They could walk. That's free. So actually, you don't have to. There is no tax.
Okay. Can I take my selfie with you now?
Do you know what voter ID is?
Yeah, of course I know what voter ID is.
Okay. Chuck Schumer is saying that he's not going to support it come next week when they vote on the SAVE Act, which is a national voter ID law, because it's racist. He calls it Jim Crow 2.0. We're asking students today if they agree with him or if they support voter ID. What is your opinion?
I mean, yeah, it's not necessary. Voter fraud in this country is not an issue, and it never really has been.
Okay. Well, then if we pass the law, then nothing will change, right?
It restrict probably minority rights. People don't have access to getting IDs, so that would have an effect if it did pass.
Okay. How would it affect minorities?
Oh, God, I hit the talking point. How would it...
I'll repeat the question. How would it affect minorities?
I'm just going to end the conversation here. Thank you.
How would it affect minorities?
No, I'm good, man.
Or maybe you won't answer because you'd have to explain how black people can't obtain an ID? You weren't about to say that, were you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
This is where it starts getting shaky, right? Nobody yelling, right? Nobody getting aggressive. But listen to the response. You hear the little pause, the hesitation. That's what it sounds like when somebody, or something rather, somebody believes something that felt right. Let me say that. Until it got tested out loud. Because, I mean, the explanation was simple. Say the line, get agreement, move on. But when reality don't match the script, that's when people start reaching. And once people start noticing that, it don't hit the same anymore. And once the crack shows up, it doesn't stay contained on one topic.
So what's up, family? Today, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear oral arguments on birthright citizenship. And I know a lot of you illegal, legal, and naturalized aliens are biting y'all motherfucking nails today. And I understand y'all gonna come out in droves because y'all feel like this impacts y'all. Y'all are only concerned about the 14th Amendment, but y'all don't understand how numerology works. 13 comes before 14, so the 13 tells you who the 14 is for, but you missed that part of history. Anyway, moving on beyond that, but I just can't, I just don't get it. People feel like, oh, I was born here, I'm an American, this and that and the third. You know, we're supposed to be higher than the animal kingdom as humans, right? Some of us, right? But we're supposed to be higher than the animal kingdom. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and I've been going to the zoo for many, many years. One of the things that we have at our zoo is called the African exhibit, and we have like this polar bear exhibit. And, you know, the only thing that I've never seen, we even have Australia exhibit. And the one thing I've never seen, although kangaroos are born inside of zoos in Kansas City, polar bears are too, those polar bears still think that they polar bears. They don't think they're the Kansas City bears now. You know what I'm saying? And for some reason in nature, the Africanized bee, no matter how long that motherfucker been over here, ain't never became American. It became an Americanized bee. So how the fuck are these immigrants able to hop on a flight or float on a piece of cardboard or a mattress or whatever the fuck to get over here and just lose their ethnonym, lose their heritage, lose their culture, and put on someone else's? You know what I mean? It's almost like you think that this is a pronoun. And on the issue of birthright citizenship, I really do hope that birthright citizenship does end in the United States, and then those countries that need birthright citizenship, like Africa, Haiti, the Caribbean, Jamaica, you know, all the kind of Venezuela, all the Latino communities that are migrating their asses to the United States of America, end it in the United States of America and started in those countries. Started in those countries. See, now there's a different conversation when it comes to that, ain't it? Right? Because it's America. It's the United States of America you want. So for all you motherfucking Caribbeans talking about the Americas, stop playing with us. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about those countries that fall under the United States Constitution. You don't. So we're not doing the America shit when we're talking about birthright citizenship. Right? Any illegal, legal, or naturalized alien should have had the wherewithal to create their own pathways to citizenship. Therefore, when another groups and ethnic groups birthright citizenship ends, it doesn't affect them, right? But because they did not do that, they are not innovators. They do not create anything from necessity, the need to have it, right? They never thought that anything like this would happen, but it has. So again, we are hoping that birthright citizenship in these United States of America ends. And then y'all can go and start it wherever the fuck you want to. Go start it in Africa, Haiti, the Caribbean islands, anywhere but here. Take your ass home.
Well, now it gets even heavier because this ain't surface level anymore, right? Now we're talking about what something was meant for versus what it's being used for now. And that's what people, unfortunately, really split, man. Because depending on how you see it, you either feel like something's being respected or something's being stretched past what it's supposed to be. And you know where I'm at with it. And once people start, looking at it like that, it's hard to just go along with it, right? But while all these conversations is happening, look at what's going on above all of it.
So our hunt for members of Congress vacationing as federal workers suffer has gone international. So we now have pictures of a congressional delegation in Scotland, in Edinburgh, Scotland, at the Edinburgh Castle. One congressman seemed upset enough that we singled him and a couple others out that we could identify, that person told us that it wasn't just us, it was 30 people from Congress. We were on a congressional delegation in Scotland. And the picture we got was them touring a castle. Well, guess who's paying for that? You. You're paying for that trip with 30 members of Congress who didn't do their jobs and left Washington, D.C. without fully funding the Department of Homeland Security, and Coast Guard members, members of FEMA, people who work at TSA still haven't gotten their full back paychecks, but they're off to Scotland, and we're paying for it. But they're not alone. I mean, just a few minutes ago, as I'm talking to you, we got pictures of Senator Cory Booker in Los Angeles at a swanky hotel having breakfast. Apparently, he's here for a book signing in Santa Monica on Friday night. So it looks like he had just worked out. It seems like he's with his wife. They had just worked out and they were chowing down at the London Hotel restaurant in West Hollywood. So we've gotten a lot of people. And the reality is this: people are really, really outraged. There are rumblings now that maybe Congress will cut this 2-week spring break short. We do not know if that's going to happen or not. Maybe they're hearing your anger, maybe not. But whether they come back or not, now Trump is saying that he may sign an order to fully fund DHS. So maybe that's an executive order. We don't know. But if it is, it just means that it's an end run around Congress for not doing its job. So Congress has been complaining that the executive branch has been usurping power over the years, not just with Trump, but before that. But what do you expect when you leave Washington and you don't do your job and you vacation? That's why people are angry right now. So I will just say, for our part here at TMZ, we're going to have a full-time presence in Washington, D.C., because this is something we've been talking about anyway, but it feels like the time is right. And so we are going to staff up in D.C. as well. And we're going to do a bunch of things. We will talk about, how politics intersects with pop culture, but we're also going to do serious stories. And we're already getting members of Congress and their staffs contacting us saying, we'd love to work with you and give you stories that you can vet. And we're going to do that. So we're going to join the crowd. But in the meantime, we want photos and videos from wherever you are, whether it's in the United States or beyond. And we want photos of members of Congress showing their vacation during this government shutdown.
Okay. This right here, right? This is what brings everything back to reality, because no matter what somebody believes, everybody understands this part. If there's regular people dealing with pressure, every day, and the people in charge sitting there looking comfortable, you don't think that's a problem? You think that gap is going to go unnoticed? And once people start seeing that gap clearly, they stop caring about what sounds good, and they start paying attention to who actually lines up with real life. And that shift, that's hard to undo. Which is why people see stuff like this next part, and it hits even harder.
Next time you hear a Democrat say something stupid, like Americans need to pay their fair share, I want you to be reminded that Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrat Party in the House of Representatives, currently lives in a condo in Brooklyn, New York, in which he only pays $213 a year in property taxes. Yeah, that's right. $213 every year. So if you're like me, you're probably wondering, wow, that seems like a sweetheart deal. How did that happen? Well, good news. I have the answer for you, because back in 2007, when Hakeem Jeffries became an assemblyman in the state of New York, he co-sponsored legislation. This legislation made changes to a program called the 421A, and the changes that were made effectively offered a 50-year tax abatement at the 1971 tax rates on properties that had 20% or more low-income housing. And wouldn't you know, the condo that he purchased just so happens to be in a building that qualified. Now, you're also probably saying to yourself, wow, that doesn't seem like a fair share at all. And you would be right, because the property that he owns right now is valued anywhere from $1 million to $1.3 million. And were he paying property taxes at the going rate in the state of New York, his property tax bill every single year would be somewhere around $18,000 to $19,000. And yet somehow the property that he owns qualifies for this tax abatement. And instead of paying $19,000 a year, he's paying $213. So just remember, when you hear people say things like pay your fair share, understand that Marxism is not about fairness. Marxism is about power, and using that power to penalize others while benefiting yourself with $213 a year in property taxes.
Now, this right here is specific. Not a debate, not a theory, specific. And that's why it sticks, because when something goes from general talking points to real numbers in real situations, people lock in different. Now, it's not maybe. Now, it's hold on. How's this even possible? And once people start asking that question, man, they're not bursting it off the same way. And then somebody comes in and lays it all out in a way that sounds way more grounded.
But there's a difference between giving citizenship to the children of slaves, the children of those subject to the Middle Passage, the children of sharecroppers, and the children of those who were once considered property, and giving citizenship to the children of people who crossed the border illegally, stay in taxpayer-funded luxury hotels. There's a big difference. My great-great-grandfather was born on a plantation, Rosedown Plantation in Louisiana. He had to join the Union Color Guard to gain his freedom. By morphing the citizenship clause into something that it wasn't meant to be, it's demeaning to descendants of slaves like me. We are talking about a direct descendant of a slave that earned the right to be in this country and passed that ilk down to his ancestry. People bled for it, and it means something. The purpose of President Trump's Birthright Citizenship Executive Order is that the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment was never meant to apply to children of illegal or legal aliens. Allowing birthright citizenship to stay in place dilutes the citizenship of not just Black Americans like me, but every single American citizen that had to earn it the right way. Let's say this in black and white. Either you're a U.S. citizen or you are not. Now, the left has spent decades cheapening what it means to be an American citizen. They've quite literally been chipping away at the basic value of American citizenship. They pretend to be altruistic, but we know the truth.
Well, this is where it gets structured. Clear line, clear point. This is what this was, and this is what it's not. No dancing around it. Man, this kind of delivery definitely feels intentional, whether you agree or disagree. And when people hear something that sounds intentional, they start rethinking everything that they didn't. Look, at the end of the day, man, this ain't about who can argue better. This is about what actually holds up. And these Democrats are holding everybody up. And the people seeing it play out in real time. And once something starts making more sense than what you were told before, people don't go backwards from that. So, if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to write, clear as day. Yeah. Y'all be safe. Go check out somebody today. You could be saving their life. Peace.